Last week, crypto Twitter got its knickers in a right old twist over an article from a UK publication called Financial News, which I must admit I'd never heard of. My ignorance, unfortunately, did not end there. The article was titled 20 Most Influential in Crypto, and as you can imagine, a headline like that is absolute catnip to someone like myself. As you'll have no doubt noticed, articles like this are pretty common these days, given that they function as easy clickbait and are almost guaranteed to provoke debate, which of course generates the sort of engagement that all media outlets crave. And if you agree or disagree with that statement, why not leave a comment below? Now, it's fair to say that this list provoked a fair bit of engagement, though perhaps not in the way Financial News had imagined. That is, quite simply, because no one, myself included, seems to have heard of almost any of these people. That's right, 20 of the apparently most influential people in our industry, and the collective response was, who TF are they? The chaps at Altcoin Daily arguably put it best when they tweeted, quote, "Most influential people in crypto? I follow crypto every day. Who are these people?" And they were far from alone in that sentiment. So I thought it would be worthwhile to dig into this list a bit and take a look at some of these apparently very important people. If they really are going to be shaping the future of crypto, then I think it's only right we know who they are and get an idea of what their agenda may be. I'm also going to consider whether this list is in any way useful or accurate and what it might tell us about the current state of the industry. So, a couple of things to note before we start. Financial News is a London-based media company which produces a weekly digital and print newspaper that, as its name suggests, covers all things financial. I know, absolutely first-rate detective work from yours truly so far. More to come. Now, it was founded in 1996 and since 2007 has been owned by Dow Jones & Company, which also owns Barron's, among others. Its focus is UK and Europe-centric, which goes some way towards explaining why our friends from other parts of the world may be unfamiliar with some of these names. Now, I can only excuse my ignorance of Financial News by saying that London, well, is not exactly short of finance-focused publications, notably, of course, the Financial Times and also City AM, which has an excellent crypto section, by the way, staffed and run by some truly dedicated and knowledgeable people. Check it out, link in description. Anyhow, let's move on to the influential crypto people in question, who I'm going to list here as the article itself is behind a paywall. A point for every name you recognize and no cheating. Also, they're not numbered 1 to 20, so there doesn't appear to be any top dog, so to speak. I'll just read their names in the order they are profiled. So, Financial News' 20 most influential people in crypto are Usman Ahmad, co-founder and CEO of Zodia Markets. Yves Chouafati, founder and president of Tobam. Anatoly Krachilov, chief executive of Nickel Digital Asset Management. Jason Guthrie, head of Digital Assets Europe at WisdomTree. Stephen Ashley, co-founder and executive chair of Laser Digital. Blair Halliday, UK Managing Director, Kraken Digital Asset Exchange. Matthew Long, Director of Payments and Digital Assets, Financial Conduct Authority. Matthew McDermott, Global Head of Digital Assets, Goldman Sachs. Diana Biggs, Partner at 1KX. David Mercer, CEO of LMAX Group. Jean-Marie Mognetti, Chief Executive and Co-founder of CoinShares. David Rutter, Founder and Chief Executive of R3. Lord Philip Hammond, Chair of Copper. Ambra Subiran, CEO of Kaiko. Jean-Marie Stenger, Chief Executive of Forge. James Stickland, CEO of Elwood Technologies. Sendi Young, Europe Managing Director at Ripple. Ian Taylor, Executive Director of Crypto UK. Chris Tyra, Head of Europe and Head of Institutional at Fidelity Digital Assets. And last but not least, Emil Omanshin, General Manager Crypto at Revolut. So, how did you guys score? Well, I myself, who remember spends the vast majority of my waking hours living and breathing crypto, scored 2.5. Philip Hammond, I remember well as one of the 27 or so Chancellors of the Exchequer the UK has had in the last 5 years. I also recall the name Jean-Marie Mognetti mainly because I was recently Googling CoinShares for another video. I'm also going to give myself half a point for Ian Taylor because I remembered the name and that he was something to do with crypto, but I couldn't remember what exactly. Hey, my video, my rules. Anyway, post your scores in the comments and anyone who beat me wins my undying respect. Now, go and get some fresh air. Anyway, so these are the most influential people in crypto. Really? Not one of them has built a protocol, founded a well-known exchange, written a definitive book, or started a leading podcast. Not one of them has been revealed as a fraud, scammer, or snake oil salesman. They all look like they have excellent personal hygiene, none of them have adopted a weird pseudonym, and there's not a JPEG profile pic to be seen. No developers, no thought leaders, whatever a thought leader actually is, not even a fatuous listing for All of Us, or the Metaverse, or some sports personality who's launched their own NFT collection and thereby become an industry sage overnight. So, what gives? This list seems a little off and, dare I say it, a little grown up. So, let's take a gander at some of these big dogs of crypto. Usman Ahmad has been in crypto for 4 years, having previously worked at Merrill Lynch and HSBC. Anatoly Krachilov came to crypto in 2019, his position at Nickel being the latest entry on a CV that includes HSBC, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs. James Stickland has helped build Elwood Technologies into a company that employs 170 people and links TradFi systems to more than 30 crypto companies. He too once worked at HSBC. Cindy Young has been instrumental in expanding Ripple in Europe, growing its personnel by 75% and opening an office in Dublin, while laudably also pushing back against crypto's, quote, lack of transparency and pervasive, quote, bro culture. Her previous experience at MasterCard and HSBC has doubtless come in handy. Now, to be fair, it's not all former bankers. Particularly interesting is Matthew Long, who heads up the crypto-focused arm of the Financial Conduct Authority, the UK's financial services regulator. It will be his job to implement whatever crypto regulation gets passed back in dear old Blighty, and according to the article, quote, early indicators are that he will be tough on the sector. I don't think there is any doubt that Matthew will be an influential figure in crypto, albeit in a country that has completely lost its marbles in recent years and doesn't seem to want to be taken seriously anymore. Moving on. There's also Blair Halliday, who launched Gemini in the UK before moving to Kraken, where he heads up a team of 350, again in the UK. He's previously battled financial crimes for NatWest Group and worked in compliance for the likes of JP Morgan. And I'll end this little mini-list with Diana Biggs, who also has exchange experience at Uphold, lectures on blockchain and crypto at Oxford University, and now heads up VC firm 1KX, which is invested in more than 80 crypto and Web3 companies, including Arweave, Livepeer, Rarible, and The Sandbox. They also say, quote, crypto's not our job, it's our muse, which is the sort of crap you can only get away with when you're absolutely swimming in cash. Now, these are just a few of the people Financial News has profiled, and there's no arguing with their experience or perhaps their influence either. They may not be out there giving it large on crypto Twitter or donating their Lambos around Dubai, but in crypto, as in the rest of society, real power is often held by people you don't even know exist. But let's leave aside the individuals for a moment, because I rather think that focusing on them misses the point somewhat. Let's instead focus on some of the entities they work for, because there, I think, lies the crux of this article. Full disclosure, I hadn't heard of a good few of these entities either, but I very much had heard of WisdomTree, Kraken, the Financial Conduct Authority, Goldman Sachs, CoinShares, Ripple, Fidelity, and Revolut. A bit of digging reveals that those I'm not familiar with operate in very much the same sphere. Tobam is a French asset management company. Zodia Markets is a crypto brokerage and exchange aimed at institutions and a division of Standard Chartered Bank. Laser Digital is a crypto-focused subsidiary of Japanese megabank Nomura, while Copper offers crypto trading and custody services to, you guessed it, institutional investors. The likes of LMAX Group, R3, Kaiko, Elwood Technologies, and the rest can be summed up in 4 words: crypto services for institutions. So, if this list has a message for us average Joe crypto enthusiasts, it's this. All right, sat stackers, have fun playing with your dog coins, because our companies make more in a millisecond than all of you combined will make in your entire lives. Yeah, wag me bro, wag me. Or, well, something like that. At this stage, I should also say that despite who they work for, I don't for a minute believe any of the people on this list are necessarily anti-crypto, with the possible exception of Matthew Long, who I'm sure is a fine and decent person. I'm willing to bet the rest have a deep love for and knowledge of the industry, and hey, who's to say they're not all absolute degens in their spare time? I do find it a little hard to believe that a former Chancellor of the Exchequer in his late 60s is doing much beyond enjoying a nice little sinecure with a six-figure paycheck, expense account, and chance to be down with the youth before retirement to the home counties finally beckons. But Phil, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. What really makes me uneasy about this list, however, is that it shows all too clearly that crypto and the world of mainstream finance are much more closely intertwined than many of us would like to believe. While we're all shitposting, munching down popcorn as Bitcoin and Ethereum maxis argue amongst themselves, or dreaming of owning our own punk, institutional big beasts are running the show and using us as their exit liquidity. Now, don't get me wrong, crypto needs institutional investment in order to grow. Slamming the smart money while simultaneously hoping for a ticket to the moon is wanting to have your cake and eat it. But we don't want crypto to end up being run by a cabal of ex-HSBC employees. That is for damn sure. But are these folks Financial News has anointed as crypto's G20 really as influential as this list would have us believe? I think it's important to once again flag up that this is a list focused very much on the UK and Europe. As such, to imagine they hold sway over the global crypto industry is a bit of a stretch. Like it or not, the wider crypto industry is much more heavily influenced by corporate and political entities in the US and by international figures like CZ, Vitalik, and Paolo Ardoino. The latter three being good examples of people who have actually built crypto things that people use rather than helped hedge funds, asset managers, and rich folks ape in compliantly. The institutional sector that these 20 people almost exclusively represent is a subset of the wider crypto industry, albeit one that enjoys outsized influence. But the really important work is being done by those names we are all much more familiar with, and long may that continue. That said, institutional interest and involvement in crypto is a sign of just how far the industry has come in a few short years, but it should be welcomed with extreme caution. After all, it's big banks, asset managers, powerful yet obscure trading firms and their ilk who have the firepower and perhaps the motive to buy up influence over the sector. They will be the ones running validators on Ethereum and other big proof-of-stake cryptos. They are the ones responsible for almost all the trading volume, not that we tend to notice, given that it's mostly done OTC. They are the ones with the connections to regulators and the access to stuff that us retail folks can't even dream of. They are the ones who get in really early and dump on us on their way out. So, while these individuals and their employers may not on their own be quite as influential as Financial News seems to think, when they get together, they are a pretty formidable proposition. Make no mistake, people like those on this list are operating on a different level to the rest of us, but don't feel too bad about not having a Scooby-Doo about who any of them are. Well, for the time being, at any rate.